vambora. Vamos ver essa entrevista aqui.
Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the Sackdown. This is one that I don't think most people saw coming, but today we have somebody special with us here. We have Titan from Pain Gaming, one of the most popular, one of the most successful players right now in Brazil. LTA South, but you know, like he was one of the most popular CBLOL players. Obviously, you guys ended up going to Worlds last year, got to compete against Faker, made it out of the play-ins. People were really hyped about that. And yeah, now that you're technically in
Pô, esse cabelo deixou ele com um pouco mais cara de criança, não deixou não?
the LTA region, I thought you'd be a perfect guest because there's a lot of discourse right now about the LTA in general and the fact that there was this merger and how things ended up going down and just the viewership and all these things, and having somebody who's kind of like the face of the LTA South in a way, I think would be really good for people. So I've thought about a lot of ways to start the show, but I think the most unique thing is just the Brazilian culture in general. When people say Brazilian culture, I think when it comes to League of Legends, I don't think people really know what that means in the North. Like they don't know why the teams are passionate. They hear, oh, it's passionate. They see the fans going crazy, but they don't know like what that really is. So I wanted to ask you, like, how would you describe the differences between the way Brazil sees League of Legends and the professional scene compared to everywhere else?
I think they are too passionate at the game, not only that. And seems what I feel about everything is like Sim Soccer. They always likes to cheer, and it's not like the North America, right? I already have played there, and they are too calm for me. And when they experience this on Brazil, is like the opposite, like that much hard. And I feel there is no crowd like Brazil, you know, because they are too much competitive. Like they want to win. They cheer a lot for his team, for their team. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me is that in Brazil, all the teams seem to have fans. Like there was a statistic that they showed a while back.
Vem. É heritage, né? Cara, se não tivesse futebol, eu ia torcer igual os caras lá.
Where it was like the difference between the most popular teams in Brazil, their viewership, and the least popular teams. And it was actually very small. Like most regions, the most popular teams are getting like 5x or 4x the viewership of everyone else. In Korea, for example, when T1 plays, it's like 10x every other team. You know, like they are just by far the most popular. But in Brazil, it's like every team in CBLOL had fans. Like there's going to be people there in the crowd that are screaming for their team. And it doesn't matter if the team is like, you know, like INTZ in that split where they're just like 1-12 to start or some shit. Like they still have fans. They still have people there. So how would you explain like this, where, you know, like it doesn't seem like it's only just the record that gets you the fans?
I think it's because of the history that INTZ make on the Brazil, first of all, because I think they win a 4 or 5 championship in a row.
Mhm.
And they got some fans over there, so they are too much like they like their team, you know. So I think it's because of this. Like they love INTZ since that time, even though they are 1-12, they just like their team, you know.
Yeah, it's just different than NA because like we had teams like TSM, for example, and with TSM, you know, they were legendary. When Bjergsen was on the team, everyone loved TSM. Like everyone would cheer TSM.
Too much loyal. I think this is the words that I wanted to find. They are too much loyal to their team, even though they are losing so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. I'm you know, a sports fan in America, and that's kind of how it is when it comes to American sports. But for League of Legends, that culture never stuck. It seems like for us, it was always like, if your team, like you like players, you don't like teams. If the player that you like on the team is no longer on the team, no one actually ends up watching it. So yeah, it's a lot different when it comes to our viewership, at least.
I think they on Brazil, at least, like you guys know BRTT, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like BRTT is like kind of one of the idol that we had here on Brazil. So I think the
jeito que ele fala Brasil me incomoda pouco, eu não sei porquê, velho.
Here start to cheering for like mostly for the players that they like mostly, than our organization in overall, you know. And because we bring a lot of fans close to us, like we stream and we meet them at some events sometimes, and they could be able to know us better as a person, so they just cheer.
Mano, a verdade. Mano, vocês querem saber a real? Pra mim, o porquê que o Brasil acabou indo pra esse lado, e eu acho que Europa e NA nem tanto, eu vou falar pra vocês. Twitter, tá? Lá na região deles, o fórum deles é o Reddit. Todo mundo usa o Reddit. Mas o Reddit não tem muito jogador envolvido. E no Brasil, tudo se concentra no Twitter. Todos os movimentos, interações de pro players e outras coisas. Então aqui tu segue o jogador e tu segue o jogador mais a pessoa dele pelo Twitter. E lá não, lá tipo é um fórum que o pessoal conversa e aí alguns seguem os pro players no Twitter, mas tipo, as coisas não começam. Ah, vai ter uma treta. A treta começa no Reddit, entendeu? Então, tipo, eu acho que... começou no Facebook, mas o bagulho estourou no Twitter mesmo. Então, eu acho que isso foi algo bom pra gente não ter Reddit, né? Até que não é muito do brasileiro usar Reddit. Mas, pra mim, o fato do Twitter ser tão interativo fez essa aproximação dos jogadores. Posso estar errado, mas eu acho que tem algo por aí. Eu acho que o Twitter é muito responsável.
A lot for us.
I wondered now with the changes, because I had the privilege of talking to a friend of yours, Leon Butcher, about the changes
I know him.
to CBLOL. Very, very good guy. He looped me in about what was going on last year and the changes that were so sudden. It kind of got me thinking about like what North America has lost over time too. It's like their legacy teams, TSM, COG, they're no longer there. It feels almost as if you are watching a show and you know it's going to get cancelled because you can't like really buy into the stories. And it felt like with CBLOL, what I understood, what Leon Butcher, of course, he explained to me was that a lot of the stories are now just shut down and we don't know now
suddenly,
what
right?
the stories are. I wanted to ask you in terms of fans.
Independente do que falem da Fúria ter um respaldo no CS, no LoL eles são, mano, muito pau mole, velho. Essa é a real. Eles são, mano. E aí tu tem, tipo, Fluxo e Fúria que representa pouquíssimo em termos de organização. E eu acho que isso, a LTA, vão pegar orgs boas, beleza, mas, mano, pouquíssima gente tinha essa conexão com a Fúria e com o Fluxo, ao meu ver. É óbvio, porra, a NTZ tinha uma conexão talvez com mais fãs que os dois, mas dá pra manter eles? Não dava, a gente sabe da situação. Mas se a gente fosse pegar, por exemplo, Loz e Kabum representavam, querendo ou não, muito mais torcida que Fúria e Fluxo, né? Não dizendo que as escolhas estão erradas ou certas, mas isso influencia, mano. Isso influencia, porque são conexões que se perderam, né?
Sentiment now in comparison.
Por sorte, esses dois... Inclusive, esses dois estão ainda no T2. A pergunta é, se Fluxo e Fúria não tivessem na LTA, eles estariam no T2? Não estariam, mano. Não estariam. Eles não ligam pro LoL. O LoL é um número ali pra eles.
To previous years,
Quem sabe Tatu e
where are we
companhia aí consigam mudar o patamar da Fúria, né?
at? How are the fans reacting to everything and how do they feel about the current situation now after the split?
First of all, they feel so bad. Everyone feels so sad that what they create about the mood of everything, like of CBLOL at that time, like just gone, you know, just disappear. So they were sad for me. I could feel that. I could see that also, and it's because it was 10 years, you know, 10, 11 years, something like that, of creating this scenario of everything, of fans, of everything, you know, about League of Legends for Brazil. So suddenly just change was kind of sad for us, for sure.
I also when I looked into the sentiment of the fans, it seems like fans have shifted their view a little bit.
Esse inglês é difícil, né, mano? Eu sei o que o Tita quer falar, mas ele, tipo... ele tenta encurtar pra, mano... Nossa, é muito desconfortável falar inglês, né? Sério mesmo.
Frustrated, actually. This is the word that I can find.
Yeah.
I also noticed like in the community that they are frustrated about, of course, the result, because in the end there was like the 4 teams versus LTA North, and there's been a lot of discussion about structure and professionalism. What is your view on that topic in terms of how teams in LTA South approach practice and what your of course availability is? Because I when I put my ear to the community, this is like the conversation that I saw the most.
I think LTA North is more disciplined towards the practicing for me. They of their concepts, they are more like solid and consistent also, you know. What I could feel by them, if they mistake once, they on the next game they already fixed it. So like on Brazil is kind of different. What I can feel is up to the mood sometimes, or if some players is too emotional, they don't play much well sometimes, some games. And what I can feel, some players play better on the championship than the scrim, and yeah, it's kind of like that, you know. And on my point of view, like, you guys on the North America play better than scrim than us, for me, what I can say. And because of the consistency of that, on the championships, like the concepts of the games, because you guys play the right thing on the right moments, you guys face with more like calm, you know, like already know the situation. So yeah.
I would say that from somebody who has watched a lot of like CBLOL, what I tended to say was like the game is like fine until Baron spawns, and then when Baron spawns, it's like some shit's about to go down. Like somebody's
it's not even the Nash. I think it's the Atacano just also.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was talking about like last season, the old Baron at 20 minutes. You know, like that's when I was like, oh man, like we're about to see something crazy like right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
because what I can see is like we against the 100 Thieves, for example, we were winning some situations with 2-3k lead or better composition just, and like I can't imagine how we be able to have that type of like mistakes on in front of the objective, knowing that where they will come from, what they have. And when we face the situation, we face like in the worst way possible, you know. So I kind of get frustrated by that. And yeah.
I mean, what I was gonna say about like the up until like Baron spawns type thing is like I always feel like there's good players in CBLOL. Like the mechanics are fine, you know, like you have talented players in the region, and I was going to, you know, ask you how it feels to compete in the region that's so isolated, because in other regions you like, for example, in NA, you know, like the Latin American teams, the LLA teams are actually able to like scrim against NA teams, so they have the access to like play on our server. A lot of the NA teams would have like, you know, access to boot camps in Korea frequently, so they're able to interact with other teams. But it feels like in Brazil, one of the problems that you guys face is that you guys are so isolated. You're on your own server, like Brazilian ping, you can't play anywhere else. And when you actually get these interactions with teams, like at Worlds, for example, you go there, you play for like 3 weeks, you get all this experience, and then you come back and you're in the same struggle again. And by the next time you go, it's like the problems have changed, like macro is different, the game has changed. It seems like it must be like so frustrating, because it feels like you don't get enough interaction with like the better regions to actually just be able to, you know, like take enough learnings from them to improve as a whole.
I've said that so many times on my stream, that we are that much isolated from the other regions. And for me, when you go to the boot camp is the real thing for me, because sometimes we go to boot camp like for 1 month, right? And we start to improving there, and we get better, and suddenly we need to go back because we have no much time to spend there, you know. For example, on the Worlds, like this is the first time that we could pass to the group stage, right? And I was so much happy because I was feeling my level is getting up, right? So I'm playing like against Gala or Elk, some of players that
killing Gumayushi in lane.
Yeah, I mean, they are so much better than the others because they are the best in the Worlds, and I just can't play against these guys like on solo queue, for example, or some screams. This is frustrates everyone, I think, in the region on Brazil when it comes to them play against this type of players, and we just come back to Brazil and it's so isolated, you know, like it's kind of annoying and frustrated for sure for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely see it. And like when I watch your team specifically, I feel like you guys have the best idea of macro concepts, but like the whole problem with Pain when I watch them is like discipline. You know, like you guys will have the right idea. For example, when you played 100 Thieves, I'm looking at situations like when you have the third Drake, and it's like you have the setup, and then you guys go for that like that small chase on bot where like you lose one wave of tempo, and then you have to go back mid, and then the whole situation is like 10 times harder because you have to react.
I said the same situation also, and the situation that we face this situation with the worst like position ever for me. We didn't pull the Drake up. We didn't change Cork position. Like Hakan get that much space should be illegal for me, and I should be on the bush hitting the Drake, and so they can't see me, and it's not gonna be easy for them to fight. And I was watching that game with too much like anger, you know, because how we have this much lead, how we have this much prio on enemy. Like we could just be able to maintain the position, to maintain the pressure at the mid lane, go more further and put one more ward on the mid. And then when they come, we are more ready, you know. So
yeah,
we have this kind of knowledge, but suddenly sometimes we mess up on positioning or decision making. Just like my decision making is for me my biggest like enemy, you know. I should play better on my decision making, is what I could feel on everything on this championship.
Yeah, I think.
Falei também, o problema do Titã tomar de decisão. Eu tenho quase certeza que aquela call de Levar Ele do mid e da Chase no caçante bot foi dele. Ele tem que ser mais disciplinado, mas é aquilo. Ele reconhece pelo menos. Agora, se ele for no treino e não conseguir mudar, bom, paciência. Ele reconheceu. Obrigado pelo sub, amor. Obrigado pelos pastéis, tão maravilhosos.
I think that the issue that I saw with this championship is I don't think that it's like the Brazilian teams couldn't improve. Like I think that the more you guys would interact with NA, the better the placings would be. Maybe like next time one team would get through, and the time after that maybe it'd be like 2-2, and you guys would actually have like more parity between the regions. But my biggest issue with the format is like you guys play these games, and I'm sure you can learn a lot from the stage matches, even more from scrims. You like see the stage match, you make this one mistake, you can get so much better as a team. But it feels like because of the format, the fact that we have these best of threes here, and then the next time you play an NA teams like in fucking September or some shit, like you are playing way later on again, where it just feels like there's not enough, like the regions are merged, but they're not merged enough where you guys actually get the benefit of the competition, which was supposed to be what the idea was. It's like, okay, you guys have the viewership, you guys have the hype. Our region's dead when it comes to viewership. We don't have any of the fucking hype. Like, if a player did half the shit that you did on stage, if somebody tried to Caitlyn ult and then stood up and started yelling, he would probably just get fined on the spot, bro. He might get shot, bro.
APA actually talks to me, and he said that he want to do that, but I don't know why people are so much scared, like, to...
It's actually illegal in our region.
Cara, isso é bizarro, mano. Isso é bizarro. Não deixar o jogador, né, criar entretenimento é bizarro.
Yeah. Like if you stand up from your chair in the game, you actually get fined. You can't stand up.
Rapaziada, esse formato aparentemente é uma merda. E o que vocês achariam de um formato em que joga a fase regular no Brasil e o todo playoff é o time das duas regiões? Eu acho que isso poderia matar nossa região de vez ou salvar ela. Tipo, fase regular no Brasil, playoff entre os dois, entendeu? Eles jogam a fase regular deles lá, a gente aqui, e manda X times por playoffs cada um. A fase regular ia ficar mais competitiva e a gente ia jogar o playoff sempre contra eles. Pra mim, ia ser vida ou morte. Ou ia dar muito bom pra nós, porque a gente ia ter muita experiência, ia melhorar rápido, ou ia ser a morte da região. Então, desse jeito que tá, parece que a gente vai morrer de osmose. Talvez esse sentimento mude quando começar a season, entendeu? Mas eu acho que o mais provável seria de matar a região, essa ideia. Mas era uma opção.
From your chair.
O Japão se fudeu nisso? Então, eu sei. O Japão foi terrível esse formato.
Yes.
On LCS, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't stand up. Like if you stand up, it's like you get fined. I've had a
Wow.
warning even back when I played in season 5. I had a warning because as the Nexus was exploding, I was like hyped. We like beat TSM or something, and as the Nexus was exploding, I was like standing up and I took off my headset. And you can't take off your headset apparently until like the game has been completely
Finished,
resolved. Like,
yeah, on the Nexus, right?
yeah. So I've been warned for that as well. So the thing for me, to bring it back to the point, is that if the regions are actually going to be merged, the only way it would benefit Brazil in any way is if you guys had way more games against North America, so you could actually like spend more time like interacting and you know, playing versus these teams in the stage matches that actually matter. So
dyNquedo não tem estabilidade, o Riquelme, pra treinar.
Ah, mas ele não é...
how do you feel about this
Não é tão instável assim, não.
idea of like, you know, there not being enough games, it's merged, but it's not
60 e 80, mano.
Então, se algum time quiser testar a Starlink, é só entrar em contato contigo, amor?
Não, não sou presidente da Starlink.
Ah, tá.
merged enough where you guys get the experience.
I don't know how LTA North is gonna feel about it, but of course for Brazil is like way better because we can improve our game and we can see how it's gonna be the situation, because I already feel that we improve a lot, like playing against FlyQuest, for example, like Liquid, like Cloud9, and the 100 TV also. So for me, if this happens, would be the best scenario. What I can think, and I don't. It's not that I don't know. I know it's not enough to play in only this. Like it's not a long time, you know, to play against this guy. So like, we should play more against them to be better. What I think, and if we merge like that, we can see like another players like growing up and showing their best. So just
My balls, my grundle, my armpits, my feet. What do they have in common? They all smell fantastic because I use Mando whole body deodorant. Ladies and gentlemen, well, growing up, going into those parties, whatever, you wanted to prepare for any scenario and you tried using that deodorant stick that is only made for one place in other places, I'm telling you, it's a terrible idea. Don't make the same mistake I did. Buy yourself some Mando whole body deodorant, because with that, you can walk into any situation, whether it's an elevator, tight spot, party. Who knows where you might end up or for how long you might end up. This lasts for 72 hours and you can apply
Guys, a gente tá terceirizando os caras, deixa eles mostrar o patrocínio, pelo menos, né?
it to, of course, all over your body. It is created by a doctor, you know, clinically proven to just block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours, as I just mentioned. There's many product options. There's a solid deodorant stick, and of course there's a spray deodorant that is aluminum free and ideal for hard to reach places, you know, if that's your body shape. That's who our mandant 50 as called ML emotional confidence from head to
Ninguém vai
toe
comprar
with
aqui na real, né?
Mando. I wanted to follow up on your point because you mentioned that players are very, very emotional, and I think that's something that can be very powerful and also very volatile at the same time in both directions. Like I only competed against Brazil once, and that match made my players angry, made me angry because Brands was doing this bot gap thing to my bot lane in the middle of the game, and we didn't know how to react to this shit. And we had a performance coach who was from a basketball background, and he's like, these guys are sports guys. Like we have nerds here, and these are sports guys that are getting into our head. I wanted to dig a little deeper on the topic of what you can change internally in terms of the work and the day-to-day. What are some of the things that you've noticed throughout your experience that you wish to see in other teams and sometimes maybe even teammates? What do you think are abstract things you can change internally in Brazil to compete at a higher level, you think?
I mean, first of all, I think they should be more committed to the game. They should be more serious on the scrims for me and be more disciplined. This is the step that we should looking for.
Então, peraí, o Titã concordou com tudo que a gente falou até agora, é isso? Enquanto alguns estão falando, tá dando hate em pro player, culpa não sei o que, o Titã virou e falou, é verdade, tudo isso tem que acontecer, é isso que eu tô vendo. Só pra deixar claro. Pra não falar que estamos criando narrativa. As práticas de treinos tendem de melhorar. Tem Titã 2025. Só deixando claro. Momento algum a gente falou que os times não treinam. Momento algum a gente falou que os times treinam mal. E o Titã que tá falando que tem que melhorar as práticas. Tá?
And there is a lot of things, that we should improve on Brazil. For example, in houses, that is
Em house eu já givei.
what I can feel is we should be more together as a region as we are too
Ele não
much
falou
isolated.
contigo?
We
Não, ele
should
não falou contigo, mano. Mas o que eu vi de indiretinha aí pra essas críticas não foi pouca coisa, não, tá? Óbvio, não fui só eu que fiz essas críticas. Foi um monte de gente, mas eu fiz essa crítica.
like looking to
O
play
sistema.
against each other more, like better, more than solo queue, because solo queue here is not that much good. So I feel better if I'm playing against the pro players that we had here on Brazil. So this is one point that we can looking forward also. But for me, some players is too much lazy to play in house after the scrims. I think for me they don't want to talk more, or they are not committed to the game, for me.
Eu vou, mano, deixar vocês pensarem um pouquinho nisso aí, eu vou...
This is what I can say.
Ah,
And
mano.
this is for me.
Como é que tu fez isso, velho? Como é que tu fez isso?
Assim,
Não, mas tu se esforça também pra aprontar, né? É.
Okay, I can't say for the others, so this is my point, my opinion. So yeah, I
Verdade, Titã.
have a
eu
lot
vou
to
te
say
mandar
about
letrinha.
Brazil on scenario as well, because I feel we lack so much on these situations that we can control, that we just don't do like what we should do, enough.
Yeah. I mean, we've had the same problem in North America. I mean, to be honest, a lot of the things you're saying,
And
it's
you
like,
too.
yeah, it's the same conversations we have in NA, because like on a different, on a different scale, NA has always lost to the Korean teams, the Chinese teams, and we always end up saying like, oh, our solo queue is bad. But
Amigo
when
do
Champions Queue
Entrevista
came,
me mandou R$5.
Fala, Neymar.
Acho estranho os EUA não deixaram alguns comportamentos, sendo que lá qualquer trash talk transforma um jogo ruim em algo excelente.
Caralho, Neymar, tu tá calmo, hein? Esse Santos tá te fazendo bem, velho. Mas é verdade. É verdade. Aqui no Brasil, pô, vamos falar a verdade. Por que nós assistíamos aquele Liberty versus Los? Porra, pela surpresa, mano. O que viesse era lucro. Entendeu? Falta isso neles, realmente.
bota a conta pra mim.
came out,
Ah,
people
okay.
don't play it, and there's always different excuses as to why like Champions Queue won't work out.
A gente queria saber quantas vezes o cavalo ia morrer. A gente queria saber até que tempo de jogo a Luz iria jogar. A gente queria ver o kebab churrascado. A gente queria ver o Brunão morrendo na side lane. E podem falar o que quiser das narrativas, tá? Mas elas deixam o jogo interessante sim, mano. Elas deixam, mano. Independente do que disserem, mano. Ah, o Brunão, o Wave às 12 horas é narrativa. Mano, tá todo mundo lá vidradaço esperando o Brunão morrer na side, velho. E deixava o jogo divertido, mano. Amor, olha, ele pegou isso aqui.
Bota a conta pra mim.
completely disagree about the thinking that like if we are that isolated and we can play against the best teams, why we don't just group ourselves and play better as like in-house, for example? We can play against each other every single day if we want it. Like this is
Isso, Titãozada.
this is what we can control, We can't control like playing on Korea, being on the North America. I can't control playing Brazil against Korea. Like I can't do that. So if I can't do that, I should improve at least my region. So this is one point that I can say to
Titãozada é
everyone
brabo.
actually that had the same problem. So
Yeah.
I try so many times. I try to have some academy, like for example, what people is doing, what people did on Brazil to trying to help the pro players, and he talk on Twitter about that. I've been doing this my whole life on the scenario of League of Legends in Brazil.
Have you tried streaming the scrims? That's just a
No,
joke,
no.
by the way. No, I'm just talking some shit. So on that line, I was thinking this is something I was going to bring up later, but we might as well get into this point now. The rules have now changed when it comes to like imports in North America, right? Like now, because LTA is supposed to be a merged region, you're allowed to have 2 imports like from anywhere, and then you can have that third slot, which is from somebody that's cross conference. So you could have like 2 Koreans plus an LTA South player on an LTA North team with 2 LTA North resonance on it. And because you've been like, you know, popular in Brazil, you obviously have been to Worlds a couple times now, and you have experience. Have you ever like considered potentially, you know, playing in another region? Have you ever got offers from EU, NA? Have you, you know, had the chances to go abroad?
Can you say again?
Have you ever had the chance to play in like North America or EU? Have you got offers from teams in LCS or LEC?
If I had, I didn't know about it because this is one of my dreams, like since before, to go to play out of Brazil, because I feel I have good potential to
Cara, eu vou falar a real, mano.
play.
O contrato do Titã com a PEN acaba agora, né? Esse ano. Eu ficaria muito surpreso se um time do NA não tentasse pegar ele, mano. Eu ficaria muito surpreso, velho. É 26? Fim de 26? Cara, quem acaba o contrato agora, na verdade, e o pessoal lá de fora ama, é o Brence, mano. O pessoal ama o Brence lá fora pelo bot gap, ele já apareceu em cinemática da Riot. Ele é um candidato a ter uma vaguinha no que vem, velho.
On the leg or NA, something like that. Because I could feel when I go to the international events that I can do more, you know, than in Brazil. So this is one of my dream. But I'm getting older because what I can see the other regions have like
Ele sabe que o Titã tem um filho?
they have really young players nowadays that have a lot of potential also, and yeah. If I have it, I don't know about it, but of course, if I have one opportunity someday, or like, yeah, I could be able to go.
Interesting. No, I'm surprised because
Pô, tinha
there's a lot of risk that obviously comes with that. Like a player
anos,
like you that has so many Brazilian fans, and also, you know, you have your family in Brazil and all this stuff. I didn't know if that was even something that you'd be open to, but it's interesting to hear that.
My mom always said that if this is my dream, she'll not like looking to interrupt me or like stop it. So since I wanted to be a pro player, like on the first moment that I became a one pro player, she said, if this is your dream, just looking for it, and I will be cheering for us and like supporting you. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I was honestly surprised that because in the off season when like the whole merger came, because I watched all your Champions Q games, and I watched when you guys were beating like the Billy mixed teams, and I was like, oh damn, this player is gonna be playing in LTA North. So I'm surprised that nobody's knocking on your door, you know. Maybe we need to...
Fala Tolo, vi muita gente falando que esse split 1 não foi tão legal. Fiquei pensando nisso e fiz um formato que talvez seja interessante. Se puder ver e dar sua opinião, só tá meio feio.
Depois a gente vê, tá? Cara, existe um mundo que ele recebeu uma propostazinha, uma, como se diz, tá ligado? Uma sondagem e a PEN...
Tell GMs what's up, you know? Those games were crazy, so it's like, I just want to really...
Sim. Na Champions Kiwi que não tinha macro, era só luta, a gente tomou pau. Os caras apanhou. Aí quando os caras começaram a jogar macro, acabou.
Really solidify for everyone that's listening that it's like when you were playing those games.
Ele tem agenciador de fora, o Wayne cuida dele. Os caras podem nem saber quem é o agente dele. Se eles forem direto com a PEN e perguntar e a PEN falar não vendo, ele nunca vai saber. E faz parte. É contrato, por aí tem contrato. Se quiserem fazer isso, tem que pagar a multa inteira dele.
Games, like that was a really big hype moment in preparation for like the World Championship, and watching you compete against like the LPL AD carries was like insane to watch in the Champions Q games, and it was very clear that you had like a clear fire to want to do more and to really put the effort behind the game. So that was very, you know, that sticks with me when I watch it, and I hope it sticks with everybody else that is listening as well.
If I have the opportunity of improve or to be committed to the game on that point, I just wanna looking forward and yeah, be better just.
E fora que o Titã, mano, se ele fosse PNA, ele faria um dinheiro de aposentadoria, né? Convenhamos. Porra, 20, 30 cadol lá, imagina. Você é louco, muita grana.
I always look to that, and I hope I can get better.
Honestly, have you had your wireless headset die on you mid-game? Suddenly you're playing and you can't hear anything? Well, that means that you are not using a Turtle Beach Stealth 700 headset, which has some of the longest battery life that
Não
we've
tem no
ever had
Brasil,
in
mano.
headsets. An
Tá cheio de
80-hour
AD.
battery life with the Stealth 700 headset that you can get from Turtle Beach. The Stealth 700 has the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless
Não quer
transfer.
vender no Brasil essa porra, mano.
And they're
Quem quiser
after
aí,
you
ó,
purchase,
Turtle
they'll
Beach.
add the ultimate. Let's talk
Funny.
about something that happened recently, or maybe not happened recently, but we got the information recently, which is, yesterday we had your teammate, your mid laner, end up, retiring from
vamos ver o que ele fala
competitive,
disso.
and looking back and, trying to prep for this episode, we saw that you actually did play mid, and obviously your tweet was like, oh, let's see if I still know how to play mid. You played mid for a decent amount of time. Like, do you, like, how was that to actually play mid? Because you were an 80 carry from what I could see all the time, and then you randomly played mid within CB LOL. So how was that?
When I was in my hometown city, I was playing 80 carry to play in the tier 3 at that moment. I was playing tier 3, and then suddenly Kabum just called me for like replace I think it was Vash at the time at mid laner, and it's because of my dream is like playing in the competitive. I just don't give a fuck about everything and just go there, I just go there and start playing as a mid laner.
Nossa,
And
ele era
my father
completamente maluco
came
jogando
with
mid.
me at that time, so it was
Completamente maluco,
really
ele morria
funny
10
because
vezes
I
por jogo.
never fly to other city in Brazil, so it was my first time, and it was like so funny. But I play mid, and then after I became 80 carry.
Based.
How did that change happen? Like, why the change back to?
It's because I was already 80 carry on that
Okay,
moment.
so
I
you
was
just took
playing tier
the
3.
80 spots.
Yeah, I just go for my dream. I don't give a fuck, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
start playing mid.
Quem
And
será que escaltou o Titã, né,
I started
mano?
playing mid, and it was like
Acabou
so
aí.
funny. But at the ending, I could be able to become an 80 carry once again, so was good for me.
Were you like a solo queue superstar? Were you somebody who was all the way at the top of solo queue and it was like, oh, this guy has mechanics. It doesn't matter what role he plays?
Yeah, I always like to play other lanes. I was playing mid laner on the solo queue, jungler as well, and sometimes top laner. And is what I feel about if you can play other matchups and other lanes, you can learn more about the damage or the intention of the play sometimes, and playing other lanes, I feel that. So yeah, this is why I play other lanes.
I wanted to follow that up because it's like in terms of like your approach to, or like the approach to your off seasons has been rather unique. I tried to do as much digging as possible, and the some things that stood out, of course, was going from winning championship in Kaboom and then going to take the big risk and the leap to join a challengers team to build something from scratch.
The red Canids, right?
Yes. Can you tell us about what was behind the decision and what you, in general, look for in teams?
I don't want to be like, on that time, I don't want to be like that much comfortable in the position that I had, and I was looking to have some challenge, and I wanted to do one step back to do 2 ahead. And then suddenly I just like lose 3 times in a row, and I said, my God, my career, like what I did, But at the ending, like everything went well. I could be able to back to the CBLOL,
Nossa, pior que
and I win the Challenger Series.
Esse time que perdeu 3 seguidas era com Revolta. Mano, o circuitão era pesado também, né, mano? Pô, o time tinha Revolta e Titã e, mano, apanhava no circuito ainda, velho. Era todo mundo brigando por um prato de comida, velho.
Everything goes well after that because we could fix the players that we should have together to win the whole thing.
Era time farmando
What was
vaga?
it about?
Pior que não era não, mano. Era gente com muita vontade de fazer acontecer pra ir pro CBLOL. Essa é a diferença, mano. Tinha incentivo. O incentivo de jogar o circuitão era ir pro CBLOL. O pessoal dava vida.
Red Canids, because I read the open letter that
Os maiores jogadores sofreram no circuitão, mano. Revolta, Titã, o Team. Até o BRTT perdeu no T2, no circuitão. Eu joguei um split também, não ganhei. Cara, o circuitão era doideira, velho.
you did, and it was very clear that your time there was very important to
dyNquedo
you.
também.
You wanted to, of course, retire in this team. What was it that
O ESA. Mano, O Carioca era muito novo, mano. O Carioca tava no início da carreira, não dá pra contar.
What's so unique about the experience? What was that
It
stood
was-
out to you?
Aquele circuito era mais vontade do que qualidade, mano. Era tipo jogo na várzea, assim. Mano, quem queria mais, quem corresse mais, ganhava.
It was like my family at the time, of course. Like the owners, like they were very receptive when I came to the Red Canids, and after that they take care about me a lot. I was on Kabul and I was lost and I wanted some new challenge and they could be able to support me like a lot on that time. So I kinda play for it, you know, because I feel they were too much close to me and was like I have good feelings about them, you know.
And then in the end, you mentioned that, of course, you wanted to retire in the team and the change of
I
the
didn't
indicator
want
position.
to go back at the time, or to get out of the Red Canids at the time.
Yes, like the open letter. I suggest everybody to
they
read it. I
choose
read the
the-
translation of it. It's a very, very beautiful open letter, and your emotional state of mind really came through, and it's something that definitely holds up because it was a little bit of time ago now. Now that you reflect back on that moment, what do you think went into the decision? What do you find in your reflection about this moment in
Fair
time?
decision.
Yes.
I I don't wanna say on this way, but I don't know much English, so I need to say on that way. But it's not like on this way, you know. I think they after they finish the championship, they don't think much clearly. I think they want some change and they just find one player to do it, you know. Because we have a good team. Like we changed like 2 people already. Like it was like the FNB I think and the Envy at the time. And they suddenly wanted like just change and make some good mood. And I was kind of tired at the time also because we were changing too much and we couldn't be able to get much synergy as a team. So I feel so much bad at the time because we couldn't hold one team like for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
I see. As a follow-up, because we talk about fan sentiment.
Yeah,
When-
and they said at the time it would be me or the jungler Ages at the time. So if they just changed me because the AD carries have more options than jungler.
Yeah.
That's what they said to me. So
Yeah.
I said, okay, so it's gonna be like that.
I mean-
I already knew I'm gonna get kicked all the time, but they keep saying, oh, maybe it will happen like on this way, blah blah blah, and then okay.
Yeah. I mean, just to play devil's advocate here, do you think that there is truth to that sentiment? Because from watching Brazil, it feels like the AD carries are in general pretty good in the region. Like I would say that the strongest role in Brazil has been AD carry. Is that how you feel, or where do you think the strongest role in Brazil is?
That's for sure AD carry. For sure, I can say that.
Okay.
Não há dúvidas disso. não.
Because I always look at the other names when it comes like to other people wanting to play with some players.
Mas aí é
Like,
aquilo,
for
né, mano?
example-
Se ano que vem, igual a gente falou, o Root vai pro exército, o Brence, sei lá, vai pro NA, já ficou esquisito nossos AD carries, né?
We have no mid laner right now, right? So
Yeah.
we are
You have to
trying
play
to
both
find.
roles. You have to play
Yeah.
mid and AD carry at the same time. It's 4v5.
Temos a Yu,
We are
cara, a
trying to-
Yu continua no espectro da promessa.
E aí, Tolão, e aí, chat?
Ah, lá
Cheguei
vem,
agora na live, mas eu tô com uma dúvida muito grande, mano. Por que o Titã deixou uns passarinhos fazer um ninho na cabeça dele, velho?
Mancada, Origami. Sério mesmo, mano. Que
To
mancada,
find
cara.
the mid laner. So there is not much options, what I can see. And if we talk about the names that is really good on Brazil or is fine, there is no much, you know, there is no much potential or good players. So for me, when I say in terms of AD carry, you can find more than other players, you know, on their roles.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely makes sense. I guess Yamato, we should talk about, you know, his relationship with his mid laner, or his former mid laner now, dyNquedo, because this is somebody who, you know, we've heard has been like an important part of you joining this team and wanting to be on Pain in the first place. And now he's obviously retiring. So what was your relationship like with this player? Why did you like playing with him so much? And yeah, what is going to be missed within the team now that he's no longer there?
I know him since 2015, since I was
Damn.
not a pro player on the time.
Oh.
I played some tier 3 with him, and I
X3.
I was talking to him sometimes, and 2018 we could be able to win 4 championships, I think, together. And after that we just separate. But what I can say about him, he's like the example of an athlete for me. He's always first on the offs. See, he is always watching VOD. He's always like the example of player that you wanted to have on your team, because it's all about League of Legends, and he's too committed to the game, even though sometimes he have no motivation to that, because on the last moments that I have with him, he have no motivation anymore. You know, he was just tired of everything, and it was his last guess for me on this LTA. What I could see from him, and yeah, this is what I think about him. This is what this is why I wanted to play with him on Pain Gaming, because I wanted to feel like the same thing that I feel on 2018 about like being a professional, you know, for me. So yeah, I think that's why. And he's good also. I thought he was solid mid laner. Really a good name of mid laner on Brazil. So I had more chance to win on Pain Gaming than other players. So I wanted to go Pain.
Are you tired of browsers that just eat up your RAM and just no customization options at all? Do you feel trapped in a relationship with an old and slow browser because you've just used it for so long, and all your bookmarks and settings and all that jazz is just all in that same place, and you just feel so overwhelmed?
Aqui no Brasil nós não conseguimos nenhuma Coca
Well, no
Zero.
worries. Opera GX has got you covered. You didn't install it.
mano.
Boom, you use the link below. Easy peasy. You press the setting button. Even a bronze player
Aqui no
could do
Brasil,
this.
tipo assim,
Are
se
you
tu
smarter
conseguir
than a bronze
patrocínio de
player?
uma
Show it.
coxinha
You
da
scroll
padaria da
down,
esquina, tu tá
boom.
bem, velho.
You find the import bookmarks and settings button. You click it, choose your browser, import. You can select the items to import. Boom. All of a sudden, you're up to speed and your new life can begin. Now you can use all of the unique features, of course, of Opera GX. The first one that comes to mind is, of course, the Riot Corner. The Riot Corner is something you're going to unlock if you use one of the mods that are, of course, League of Legends related. You scroll down and all the info that you need in regards to any major event that's going on
Tá, calma aí,
will be
muito ágil,
here.
não?
The last one, of course, was World's 20.
Muito ágil, mano. Fica a dica aí pra vocês, mano. Pra melhorar o ágil de vocês, seja mais
Because you mentioned
rápido.
you've, of course, supporting.
Vai ter mais retenção do que
I wanted to
essa
follow
bíblia.
up on that because you mentioned you've known him for such a long time. In
Já deu pra entender a mensagem ali, né? Opera GX, um ótimo navegador. Já deu pra entender a mensagem.
terms of inspirations and the most important people that have shaped you in your career, what are some people that stand out to you when I ask this question, and can you tell us more about them?
Opera patrocina nós.
Like, are there certain people that have inspired you in your long career? Like, you've won many championships, many different teams, and you've worked with many different people. Are there other people besides dyNquedo that stand out to you as inspirations?
Yeah, BRTT for me was the first one actually, because when you talk about Brazil, you always will talk about BRTT for me, because he's an idol for everyone. And for me, what I could feel about his game style, or like like he stand up and screaming to other players. This is one of the inspiration that I get from him actually. So I think BRT is one of them. Like was my first idol on Brazil. So yeah.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
think it's only these two players actually, dyNquedo and the BRT. The rest of them, I don't. It's international, just
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
international players.
When did Brazil get a server? It was like 2013 or 2014, something like this.
I think it was 13.
Yeah, maybe it was 2013 because I remember I was friends with BRTT. I don't even know if he still remembers even who I am, but I was friends with him on NA server. Like we would play all the high rated matches together. Like he was just playing like 100 ping from Brazil. I think Draven had came out I think at the end of season 2, and he was one of the first people that like
He was OTP this champion actually.
yeah, he was OTP, and I just remember like, cause you know I was started streaming at the time, like he was streaming at the time too. We had very similar view counts back at that point. You know, we were both kind of like starting out. And now it's just like I remember skinny BRTT, man. Like I remember when this guy was like super skinny. Now he's all swole up. But like I remember playing back in the day with skinny BRTT, bro. Like that was a different vibe, man. Like he was more reserved. Like on stream, he looked so calm. Like he wasn't flaming or anything. He just looked like very stoic. It was just crazy to see, you know, when you watch the matches, him just stand up and start yelling. And I wanted to yeah, just talk to you about, you know, when you stand up and stuff. Like what exactly are you guys saying when you yell? Are you just like yeah, man, that's like how we fucking do it? Like what exactly comes out when you're in these moments? Because you've had some of the most legendary like stand-up moments. The one that my chat loves is the most recent one with the Caitlyn ult. Because what I was saying, like you can even find this on my TikTok and YouTube shorts. I post this everywhere because I thought it was so crazy. The speed at which you stood up, like you didn't wait until the play was finished. You channeled Caitlyn ult, and then as soon as you pressed R, you started standing up. Like you were literally like in motion. It was part of the combo. You know, it was like EQ auto flash, like start the ult, and then boom, you're just already.
It's because nowadays I'm kind of fine. You know, I don't want to scream much, but only if people is like talk some bullshit for me or trash talking, and then I hold this for myself for the game, you know, because like people should know when they say shit to me. I always like this gives me so much motivation to play against them. So CEO at that game, I think he had some fights and he were winning on the early game, so he started screaming at me. So he screamed and I look at him and I was like, this motherfucker is crazy to watch me. I just like when I stand up, I was screaming to him like just shut up, you know, shut up. Watch why you are screaming at me, you know, like something like that. Why you are screaming at me, like you're just getting carried, you know, something like that.
That's based, honestly. I was surprised that you didn't scream that much at the 100 Thieves players because when going into it, that's what I thought would be like the biggest advantage for the Brazilian players, like the crowd going crazy, and then you know the Brazilian players just standing up and starting to scream to the NA players, because NA players, you know, we're more reserved. Like people don't do social media, people don't even like stream much, you know. People don't deal with that energy well.
I think it's because we were too much focused on our game. We wanted to win that badly that we didn't focus much on that, you know. Because, for example, if you start screaming at the other players, like, and you lose the game, it's kind of shameful, right? It's kind of shameful. You are screaming at them and you are not focused on the game. So I don't want to pass that view for the other people, so I just play my game. And also,
isso é pouco de falta de confiança, porque tipo no Brasil,
Origami 9 mandou R$5. Tolão, você sabugaria o Bertetão para salvar a Laulau?
O quê? O Titã, esse próprio jogo contra a Leviatã, ele tava perdendo esse jogo e gritou. Então, tipo, contra a Leviatã ele tava grandão. Será que faltou confiança contra a Thieves, velho? Talvez foi isso, mano.
I feel sorry for some crowd that boo at the 100 Thieves at that time. So I was saying sorry, guys. They boo you. So it was the first time that NA comes to Brazil. So I wanted to be good with them, you know.
Nah, fuck those guys, man. You should have yelled at them.
When you come over to North America, then like when it's in the studio, you have to yell back.
Yeah.
Calma, guys, aqui o Titã tá jogando um longo jogo, mano. Primeiro, tá tentando Isso aqui se chama. Ele tá tentando criar networking ali, né? Ficar de boa com os caras, arrumar uns screenzinhos, ter esse contato. E no futuro, se tiver uma vaguinha no time, né?
Yes, in terms
Lembra que eu fui da hora com vocês? Então. E esses doll aí, dando sopa?
of rivalries, it's like, are there any rivalries that, like, are there any AD carries or any other players that, like, that you've had like kind of a beef with, like, or when you play against this guy, you really want to fuck him up? Are there any historical ones that we should know about?
The NA, you mean?
No, in general, like in Brazil, I want to be in tune with
CO for sure.
the big
because,
one, okay?
Yeah, after I lose to them, I was so mad, really, so mad because after he won the on 2-1 against us, he starts screaming, you know, and he's pointing at me and like put his finger like this, and I was like, oh my fucking Jesus, I lose to this guy. Like, I wanted to win against him.
Yeah, no, I was rooting for you guys in that match too, because I don't know, Leviathan. I thought that team was so weird. Like just the way they played is so weird. For the most part, like just I couldn't really.
But we were so much greedy at the draft on the last game against them, so I feel so shit because we didn't have point of pressure on the map. Like we had some opportunity to fight against them, but we didn't choose the right thing to do it on the moment. So we just got snowballed by like we have like I think 4 melees against Talia, so Talia was like king of that game.
Yeah. I mean, I think Cody is also probably like the best player on that team, at least from watching them. I thought that Cody was like pretty solid overall. I think the strangest thing about that match for me, just watching it, was it felt like. I mean, maybe my perception of your team is wrong, but when I think about Pain, right, from last year and just what I watched, I always felt like you guys were best when Weiser was on like some type of carry pick where he can just like play like lane like Jax or something like this. And you know, Carioca is the tank jungle guy to me. He's like Sejuani, Maokai. Like this is what I feel like he's actually best at these days. It might be funny because maybe like, you know, I think he used to be a carry player, but you know, nowadays I feel like this was his style, and it felt like a lot of the early draft wasn't really the Pain gaming style that I knew, and even throughout most of the split, it felt like you guys were playing different. So, what changed with your style? Why did you?
Cara, eu tô mutado, mano. Cara, que eu não mutei essa porra, mano. Enfim, Prime Pain Game era Weiser Tank, Carioca Power Farm, indo pro bot, dyNquedo de mid, bot com pressão.
Did you guys start playing so many different champions? Because it feels like you guys had a pretty solid formula.
First of all, swap. Swap is so annoying because our like standard was that we had good lanes.
Swap é tão simples, mano.
We have good lanes to fight other people, and we have troublemaker that is like mid, Kuri, like Weiser sometimes, and we get our lead by that, you know, by lane phase, by like playing around the bot lane, and the swap came. Swap for me mess up our thinking so much because Grubs at the time also was like big, right? I think for me the FlyQuest was the best team that could like understand first than everyone the swap thing. That's why for me they could be able like to almost win Genji on the Worlds. So after we play against these guys, seems like they just don't give a fuck about the matchup and they just play for the map. And they play better around there, you know. And we change a bit our mindset on that, and maybe we kind of get lost for me on this situation because like we clearly have our identity, but we change suddenly to other style, and was bad for us, I think.
It's interesting to see because I feel like a lot of times. Like you guys were picking Caitlyn, and I believe the first game you picked Caitlyn when you played against Leviathan. And you know, when I was thinking of your champion pool, I never really used to think about Caitlyn as like a champion for you. Maybe in previous metas, but when I started watching, I thought.
_9 mandou R$3. E aí, Tockers? Tô curtindo demais o seu conteúdo. Aqui vai uma pequena contribuição para manter a vibe positiva da stream. Continue arrasando. Mensagem gerada por IA.
That like you had champions that you preferred over that, and normally, especially when I watch Caitlyn in other regions, it's like a game 3, game 4 champion, you know, like once they remove all the prio 80 carries, like Varus is out and, you know, Kalista is getting banned every single game and Ezreal gets out and Corki is out, whatever, then you start going to the Caitlyn. For me, like I was hoping that you just picked Corki because I feel like that champion is like super good in like in Brazil. Like I feel like that's a great champion for NA, EU, Brazil, like Corki 80 carry. I just feel like you could scale pretty well, have like decent lane phase and just you know, carry the game from there. What made you guys go to like this Caitlyn early?
I think about Corki. First of all, I want to say that we lose our like confidence to play in the bot lane. Like the scrims was not getting like better, was not good with him, and then we lose kind of our confidence. And also we play against Loud. I think with Corki was not good. I don't remember, but was some team that we play Corki that we lose, and we lost our confidence on this on 80 carry as well. And the other question was what?
No, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, we just talk about like just the 80 carry in general. No, I was talking about like the Caitlyn prio and why it was so high.
Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Why it was high? Because in Scream was too much good for us, and we wanted to have like snowball composition, like because we were losing too much on Screams, like in general, overall, on this year. Because what I can feel. What I could feel, we lose our confidence and our identity, so we wanted to at least have some advantage on the enemy team. That's why we get that much like composition like with Caitlyn and Elise, like that is like too much strong on the early game.
Sabe qual é um problema pra mim? Eu acho que isso fala muito, tá? Vamos tentar usar um pouco de lógica aqui. Qual que é a identidade da PEN? Bot forte, certo? Independente. Né? Jogo, bot, AD mais jungle. O jogo da PEN é AD mais jungle. Né? Todo mundo sabe disso. Principalmente boa lane e early game. E aí, tu tá num meta de swap. Meta de swap é lanes fortes não importam e jungle joga mais pra farm e objetivo. Então tu vê aqui totalmente ao contrário do que a PEN faz. E aí tu tem que tomar uma decisão. Tu tenta manter a tua identidade e aí jogar de lane boa com jungle early game e tal, ou acompanha o meta. Isso é muito importante. Isso é muito importante, essa decisão que tu vai tomar. E essa é uma decisão que tu tem que tomar consciente. Rapaziada, hoje o meta é tu pega a lane fraca que escala e joga o swap. Mas a gente é bom nisso. E agora, o que a gente faz? O problema é, essa identidade da PEN é quase impossível de manter nesse meta. Tem metas que tu fala, mano, o jeito que a gente joga não é o melhor, mas dá pra usar. O problema é que eu sinto que a PEN decidiu manter a identidade deles num meta que é impossível fazer o que eles querem fazer. Não dá, mano, não dá. Simplesmente não dá, velho. Não tem o que fazer. Sendo que uma das forças da PEN sempre foi teamfight. Então eles poderiam ter mais essas comps pra teamfights. Mas pra mim aqui é onde talvez foi uma leitura errada da PEN. A PEN tentou continuar fazendo o que eles eram bons, sendo que o que eles eram bons é simplesmente impraticável nesse meta. Tu pega a Caitlyn e a Elise e o cara vai swapar, mano. O cara vai swapar. E acabou tudo. Tu pode até tentar dar match, alguma coisa, mas ele vai ficar só correndo de X, o jogo todo. Então, agora o swap vai acabar, na real, né? Mas talvez a PEN tenha comitado no estilo de jogo errado, velho. Talvez se eles no treino deles tivessem tentado se aperfeiçoar no swap, em vez de ficar tentando jogar a lane que eles tanto gostam, talvez a evolução deles tenha sido mais rápida, na minha opinião.
Game that you...
Porque eu já passei por isso, tá? Eu vou contar só a minha experiência sobre isso. Vocês lembram aquele meta horroroso, nojento, covarde, asqueroso de Doom de Jungle? Pra mim, aquilo, o funneling, pra mim aquele foi um dos maiores erros da minha carreira, tá? E eu vou falar pra vocês por quê. Pô, a gente era um dos melhores times jogando Standard, né? A gente era muito bom, isso, Exódia na Cade. A gente era muito bom jogando o básico, jogando, né, lane e tal. E naquele meta, mudou, entrou o funnel. E aí, quando entrou essa porra desse funneling, a gente decidiu testar ele. Testamos um jogo, deu errado. Testamos 2 jogos, deu errado. a gente virou e falou, guys, não é pra nós. Esquece aí, vamos jogar normal. E, obviamente, isso foi uma péssima decisão. Uma péssima decisão. Por quê? A gente não sabia jogar o meta, a gente não dava pra jogar o normal, porque a The Carry tinha deixado de ser meta. Então o pessoal no bot tava jogando de Ryze, de Mordekaiser, de Renekton, de Aço. Só tinha quase melee no mid. Tinha Swain no bot também. E aí a gente falou, vamos jogar normal. Só que a gente jogou normal num meta que tava impossível jogar normal. A The Carry era um pedacinho de cocô. E a gente pagou por isso. Se a gente tivesse simplesmente falado, guys, o meta é funneling, a gente é uma merda nisso, a gente precisa praticar e estudar, talvez existe um mundo que a gente teria conseguido dominar aquele meta. Mas a gente foi, não sei se arrogante é a palavra certa, mas a gente foi displicente. A gente falou, não, vamos jogar essa merda.
Origami 9 mandou R$5, Tolão, e como você.
Caralho,
Como
Origami, eu não
você,
consigo falar
como
sério
você,
uma
como
vez,
você,
mano.
Como você.
Eu não consigo falar sério uma vez, cara. Tu deixa o donate pronto e espera eu começar a falar pra dar o donate, filha da puta. Enfim, vocês pegaram... Vocês conseguir fazer um paralelo dessa situação que eu vivi com o que eu acho que tá acontecendo agora? Eu consigo traçar um paralelo. Acho que é um paralelo um pouco distante, mas eu entendo mais ou menos o que a PEN passou, mano. Porque pra mim, aquele split foi um dos maiores erros até hoje. Foi de não ter comitado em aprender o meta e ter tentado jogar só o que a gente já sabia. Enquanto isso, alguns metas, eu acho que a gente poderia ter tentado não ser tão meta-slave, né? Não ser tão escravo de meta e ter, às vezes, jogado qual que era mais nosso. Mas esse, eu acho que foi um dos maiores erros meu quanto a direcionamento de time na carreira. Então eu entendo mais ou menos um pouco aqui a situação da PEN.
It's easy to get the advantage, you know? So, yeah, that's why Caitlyn, that's why Elise, that's why we were, like, getting some, like, greedy drafts, you know, for me. Like, that must win on early game.
I wanted to jump on the topic because there's like...
Mas meta mais ou menos, às vezes perde pra uma estratégia não meta masterizada, entendeu? O problema é que em algumas situações só existe o meta, tu não consegue jogar outra coisa.
Plenty of Korean imports playing in Brazil, and I've noticed I noticed in Champions Queue as well. It's like English speaking focused. I like in team environments. I wanted to ask in terms of incorporating Koreans to teams and how the day-to-day works, because everyone's speaking on their non-native language in a way. How does the day-to-day work, and are there difficulties in communications, and how do you kind of navigate around that?
I play with Kuri since 2022-21, I think. I think it most likely 22. And it was hard because he didn't know even a single word of English. So I was just pinging, and then he started improving his English when he came to Pain Gaming, because that is like Jero, our coach, that is Korean, and Wiser, that is Korean. So he just take his notepad and he start like typing the words in Korean and translate to English. And he asked help to everyone. And also he had a teacher. So I'm not only saying for my team, but another Koreans, what I can feel like doesn't know how to speak English like clearly. So it's hard to communicate with them. But our team nowadays is really fine. We don't have this issue. We always talk like better on the English. Sometimes because we had three Brazilian people, we sometimes talking in Portuguese, and after we change to the English immediately because they should understand us, right? So nowadays it's fine. What I can say about us, you know. So yeah, it's kind of hard to deal with that they don't know English, you know. Even me, my English was not. My English is still improving, and I don't know talk like more clearly. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe when you join an LTA North team, you know, your English will just be perfect.
Para! Roubaram nosso ouro, agora que roubaram nossos talentos.
We need his fan base over here, man. He gets more than every LTA North player who streams combined at this current moment.
O ponto da comunicação é entender e ser entendido, mano. O Titã consegue isso, tá bom. Mais que isso é luxo.
When we bring it back to, you know, the roles and stuff, you're playing with Curry, and I wanted to ask you about the supports in general in your region, because obviously 80 carries seem to
really.
Yeah, so this is to me the biggest issue. When I said AD carries are the best, I think that that in general the supports are just the worst in CB in CBLOL. Not obviously the worst, but like the worst role in CBLOL is support. Do you have the same mentality that supports are just behind in the Brazilian region?
I think the only Brazilians support now that can, like, CEOs is gone.
Yeah.
CEOs goes to the NA. And another one is Frosty. And after Frosty is Jojo. After that, no one.
Pro Delta? No?
For me, no one. After that, this is my opinion, my view of the whole thing. Pro Delta can be, but I think...
Não tem um pouco de bias ele ter colocado, tirando o Cell, só os suportes que ele jogou? Tipo, ele tirou o Cells, que, né, todo mundo conhece o Cells, e aí ele botou os dois que ele jogou. Talvez é um pouco de bias, tipo, eu joguei com eles, eu conheço eles. Porque ele só pode falar de quem ele jogou? Não, porque daí ninguém fala de ninguém, né? Ninguém fala de ninguém. Então talvez... Pode ser porque ele é amigo, mas é porque o teste do olho, né? A gente vem de fora sem jogar com ninguém. Frost e Jojo, na nossa região, são bons suportes, ponto. Não são incríveis, não são bagres, mas, né? Não encantam. O Frost ainda é jovem, né? Fica com sempre o papo do potencial, mas...
Only this two, for me. That can play, like...
Eu acho que o Frost é bom, mano. Ele tem boa mecânica e ele tem... E ele é comunicativo, ele é proativo. Eu acho que pra ele só falta aprender sobre LoL, mano. Eu acho que a escola Red Canids atrapalha muito o jogo dele.
Level of the game.
Too bad. IU became a AD carry as well, so...
Yeah, like, in Korea, it's just Korea wins some... But yeah.
Not for me. I watched too much Winsome in my life, man. I watched too much Winsome in my life. When he was in NA... He had some good games, but then it fell off. You know, some players I need to see like the trajectory, and I feel like Winsome has been the same since the first time I saw him to right now. He looks like the same exact player. So, you know, I have more hope for some of the other players.
O Iwilldominate bota muita fé no Winsome, não.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a few things. So recently I tweeted out and I kind of flamed Grevthar, and a bunch of Brazilian streamers and stuff started like retweeting. They started liking the tweet. You know, they're like, "Oh, this guy's so base." Why does everyone hate Grevthar in Brazil? I had no idea. I just thought he played bad in the game. I'm like, bro, this guy's playing for the other team right now, and all the streamers started co-signing it. So tell me, what do I not know? Why is there so much hatred for Grevthar in Brazil?
Brazilian people always have someone to blame. So for me, Grevthar is one of them. But of course, that is a reason also, because his farm is not much good on the games. So people start like flame that also and start like having some jokes about it. And he's like peaks as well. Like he have like some.
People always said he was a Brazilian Niski. That's when I started watching the region. That's what
crazy peak. Sometimes he's go Kled and Sion mid and like. Crazy stuffs on the mid and like sometimes it's not going well, and
he's like a roaming type of guy, right? Like he wants to roam a lot and stuff like this.
Yeah, because people thinks he doesn't have
a
good lane phase,
decente,
and he likes to help the team more.
O pior de tudo é que eu assisto a lane do Greve e com alguns bonecos eu acho a lane dele decente, velho. O problema do Greve é que ele não consegue manter a constância o jogo todo, velho.
Everything.
Tem uma hora que ele vira e fala: eu odeio side lane, vou me fuder no mid.
Oh, when people talk about him, it's like that, you know.
Tem um mundo que não é culpa dele, é culpa do time? Não sei, mas isso acontece.
Good lane phase, and he just like to roam and make his plays, you know. That's what people said about him.
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting to me because when I started watching Brazil, like there's so many like Brazilian fans. I obviously don't have that many Brazilian fans, but I do have some Brazilian fans that watch me for like LPL and stuff like that. And the thing that's been interesting is that the Brazilian fans are able to like contextualize every player. Like every single player, they'll have some aspect about them that they'll like want me to know. They're like, oh, this like for example, they'll be like, oh.
Sim, é impossível jogar solo kill streamando na porra do Brasil. Morri de Azir, dyNquedo. Errei um CS, Gravitar. Botei 2 pink. Cabelo rosa. Que mais? Que mais, mano? Porra. Errei Smite, Revolta. Telepe. Dash pra frente, Kalec. Morri pro flanco, Micão. Morri na side, isso é o Wave. Porra, mano.
IU, man, this guy is like complete prodigy. He was like the best Belveth in the world. They're like, oh, like Titan is like he's the best, like he's the best AD carry in Brazil. And then they have, you know, like, oh, Robo, you know, it's the
Oh,
like,
Hobbs também,
the
Hobbs.
AO Robe or however you pronounce it, you know, like they would just say this like over and over again, like whenever he would just run it down. It just felt like there was so much like brand attached to like every single player. Even, you know, the new jungler for Furia, for example, the new jungler for Furia, they're like, this is the second coming of Canyon. This is Brazilian Canyon, like young Brazilian Canyon. Like everyone just has some type of like narrative around them. Whereas like in NA, it's like, like you don't even know, like FBI's been playing for years. I don't even know how to describe FBI. If somebody was like, oh, what's FBI's thing? I'm like, oh, he's pretty good. Ask me another player. Oh, that guy's like not bad, I guess.
Mandou
Oh, that guy's like pretty bad. Like that's
querido rechonchudo Tolão, vou trabalhar agora. Espero ansiosamente por sua gameplay de Lethal Company à noite. Até a noite, balão.
Caralho, Origami, tu trabalha? Graças a Deus, mano. Tem uma coisa pra gastar teu tempo, mano. Obrigado, senhor. Vai trabalhar, mano. Trabalha bastante, velho.
pretty much all we have over here. So it's
but
crazy.
Brazil is always like this. This is the culture of Brazil. Actually, they always have some comments or their own thoughts about the players that they cheer or they hate or something like that. You know?
Yeah, I just think that's what makes it so like interesting. For me, that's why I feel like the Brazilian fan base is big, is because when you're watching these games, you have all like the little stories in your head. You're like, oh shit, this is like the new Brazilian Canyon versus like Grevthar, the Rome guy who plays Kled and shit. Like you just have these things you're looking for.
It's not only League of Legends for me. Like this is like games from soccer, CS:GO, like Dota. Like for me, our crowd is like that since like the older games.
Tá vendo? O cara DNA dizendo que as narrativas brasileiras são incríveis, mano. E aqui a gente só reclama das narrativas. Mano.
So it's not just League of Legends.
Yeah, good though. I like it. Yamato, I saw you had something.
No, it's like my experience is even in sports. Like I'm a big football guy, and it was also in sports. It was always very, very different whenever like the Brazilian football team was involved in the World Cup. It was always like the energy was different in the stands, and everything was always very different. And you get to find out about the stories of like when the South American teams play against each other, and then all of a sudden it opens up a whole new world of history that is just completely crazy to like dig into. I kind of want to roll back very, very far to something that you mentioned, because people like offered to do the coaching, right? And you mentioned yourself that you also have offered this to players. And you mentioned that the response wasn't good. Can you elaborate more in terms of what effort you did and how the response was by your peers?
I streamed some games like only in house, and every player that is on the game, I open the screen to them and I say which point they are wrong or what they should do, on what they should improve, and it's just not only academy players, but sometimes.
Meu Deus, tô mutado, velho. Se isso vai pro YouTube, eu não sei se eles deixam, pra falar a verdade, tá? Então acho que até algo que eu tenho que mandar um e-mail pra eles e perguntar se pode postar. Então talvez demore um tempo.
This was Cibilo also, and I feel that I have I have good knowledge because I have been on international more times than other players, some players actually, and I wanted to pass that to them, you know, so they have like, so we can grow up as a region, like as one. That's what I felt on the time. And I wanted to pass this to everyone so we can like be better as a region. That's what I try to do since I start playing, because for me, when I was trying to get to be a pro player, there is no one to teach me, you know, there is no one to help me, and like I feel that this should be my job, you know, on my career. I wanted to pass like my whole knowledge for the younger people that I can see that had potential or like can do something or even better than me, you know. So I always try to help others, and it's like what people did for me.
Oh,
He even sent me a message. I talked to him a lot, so yeah, like we couldn't be able to pass the knowledge with each other, but because of time, of course, I was screaming by night, so like he have his schedule also. So, but he did with other players, so I already feel his good intention, and this is my intention my whole career, so I
it's,
could feel his genuinely,
it's very admirable because I don't think it's a coincidence. There's a lot of good like ADCs from Brazil. It's like you mentioned BRTT. It's like it's crazy how much one person can move, and I hope you don't feel discouraged ever because I think like you guys were comparing
Se falta
some of the
premiar
issues.
narrativas para aumentar a audiência, sim. Falta uns streamers canalhas lá em NA. Essa é a verdade.
That LTA North faces and LTA South faces, and Europe faced that for quite some time. But what G2 I think did good was that as the
Falta
leader
Tolão
in the
patrocinado
region.
pela Cloud9. Quem falou? O Canadian BR. Aqui é VIP. Aqui é VIP. Gostei da iniciativa. Cloud9 contratou Tolão.
They kind of push people to take scrims more seriously by making them public, and people stopped canceling scrims, and people took them a lot more serious.
Guys, preciso muito ir no banheiro. Peraí. Tô muita água.
And people also began to shame people in regards to solo queue. And I feel like for the first time in a long time, it kind of restored value into solo queue because there were many years where nobody cared about solo queue. Like your solo queue rank didn't matter.
Verdade, eu tô com a
But
camisa da
moving
Liquid,
into
né, mano? Pô, é que, tipo, as camisas da Liquid são boas, velho. Isso aqui tem que falar, entendeu? É qualidade o produto.
this best of 5 between Casey and G2, there was a big post about how basically every player was top 15 on the challenger ladder, and I hope that you keep this level of passion for your region, because I'm sure it's like all the next generations, maybe in 5, 6, 7 years, when we are going to interview somebody else from of course LTS South, they're gonna say it's the same way you spoke about BRTT, they're gonna speak about you too, so I hope you are aware of that impact.
We're gonna have Titan's child on the Sackdown one day, and he'll tell us everything his their dad taught him. So last thing, we have here actually a pretty unique thing. We have the coach of Route. I don't know if you knew this, Titan, but Yamato is actually the coach.
What?
Root.
Root.
80 carry. Root, the 80 carry. Loud. I call him Route. We have a pretty interesting situation because he was somebody who competed against a lot. You guys had a lot of finals. And I don't know if you know this, but Yamato was actually his coach in Sandbox in Korea. The one split that Yamato coached, he coached.
Yeah, really?
So he was always rooting against you. This guy Yamato, man, he was always rooting against you in all of those finals. Yamato's always, I hope my boy Root wins. So tell us a little bit about what it was like competing against Root, because you had so many battles with this guy.
I think he's a pretty solid player. Like I think his teammates feel security, to play around him because he's solid. He don't take much risk, but he's always there on the team fights, doing damage. So this is what I feel about him. He's sometimes aggressive, sometimes he's too much passive, but he's always solid. It's not easy to kill him, is what I can feel. And he's good. I think he's a good player.
How did it feel to finally beat this guy? Because you guys had such a run with them, and it felt like this guy, it felt like this Loud team was just kind of running Brazil for a minute there.
Yeah, it was crazy because that's why I choose Pain Game, because I feel only with this lineup I could...
Nós somos roubados de ter Root, Cells contra Titã e Curi, mano. Sério, que pecado, velho. Que pecado. A gente merecia ter visto isso. O brasileiro merecia ver esse duelo, velho.
Win against them. And on the first split, I failed. And then it was so close because it was the first time that Pain Gaming did 3-2 against them. So I said, guys, maybe we know how to beat these guys. We just need to improve a bit some details that when we face against them, we're gonna be better. just that. And then after the second split comes, we were like knowing everything about them, about the picks, about their costume, like or their details, where they go, and we could be able to win 3-0 against them. So it was
Eles são derretidos, Titã. Vocês não ganharam da True Loud. Me desculpa falar. Mas não era a True Loud, mano. Aquela Loud tava com circuitos queimados, velho.
finally we could beat them.
Yeah, based. I like it, man. I like it. And I think that the good thing is coming in this next split, I feel like hopefully this will return more of that, like, you know.
Não, guys, a PEN tem total mérito, entendeu? Mas o embate com a Loud bem a gente não teve, infelizmente.
That passion for the fans, or the fans will find it more fun because there is no interaction between LTA South and LTA North.
Próxima semana que vem, Tockers Laudete, odeia a PEN, criando narrativas de que a PEN não mereceu ganhar. E assim a gente vai.
The next split, so you guys will have your own playoffs, you'll have everything again.
Isso é desculpa. Mano, se eles tivessem chegado na final e jogado contra a Loud, eu falaria, beleza, a Loud foi dominada. Mano, a Loud tomou 3-0 pra Red, guys. Eu não tô falando que a PEN não merecia ganhar, mas a Loud se derreteu, velho.
Which I think it creates more hype, you know, like for me, watching the matches domestically, like watching you go back and forth with Seo, that was more hype than watching like the cross conference. The cross conference didn't really hit for me, so I'm hoping that ends up kind of restoring some of the fandom there. Yeah, I mean, this has been an episode where, you know, we've touched on a lot of different things. It's a good introduction, I think, also to like the NA fans from
Bom episódio.